that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Did you know that daily multivitamins boost your health on the inside and the outside? It's true. Multivitamins with folic acid boost energy levels, improve your mood, and promote overall wellness. And if you decide to have a baby, they can help prevent birth defects in a pregnancy. That's why the Arizona Department of Health Services is offering a free 3-month supply of multivitamins. Visit azDHS.gov/PowerMe A2C for free vitamins.
Sponsored by the Arizona Department of Health Services.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And it is the midweek edition of Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic, broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in cloudy-ish uptown Scottsdale. We got a little rain from the sky. I don't remember what that is, but I'm glad we've got it. And some nice weather to boot. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is Dylan Cohen. He's our betting expert in the building. Today on the show, we've got a recap of the top 2 picks from yesterday. We're going to talk some Lakers because some shenanigans seem to always surround the Lakers, and Anthony Davis screwed me over in a bet. We'll get to that. We'll also talk about the Timberwolves. They're playing tonight. We'll also get through some of these prop bets. We're going to compare prop bets and see which one is better, which one is worse, and kind of go through that. It's going to be a little bit of fun there. And then segment 3 of the show, big game hunting. You know what it is. Long shot parlay of the day. And I already got mine in for today. I like this one a lot, to be honest. And I wish I got on it earlier because I think the line has moved away from me. So it means that the sports books think that the long shot's pretty good too. So
a lot of other people are getting their money down on it.
Just saying, go ahead and maybe move on that. Anywho, you're on the text line at 888-368-1580. That's how you interact with the show, your bets, your teams. How is it? How are they doing? We want to know. And before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
That would be Sport Trade. And if you have not already, make sure you search Sport Trade on your smartphone, get the app downloaded, and use promo code 1580 to take advantage of their 10% cashback promotion on all of the wagers that you place in your first week. And of course, do not forget to join us this coming Friday. That is when Sport Trade CEO Alex Kane will be joining us again to give us the latest with Sport Trade. And we'll get to hear some insights from the actual head of a sports book about some of the big games that are going on this weekend. There's one in particular I've got circled on my calendar, and it is within college basketball. We have the first of 2 matchups between Arizona State and U of A. U of A obviously coming off that miracle win the other night against Iowa State. So great time to see those 2 teams clash. Very excited for that one. And we'll hear from Alex about, maybe where the money's moving on the line for, that game, as well as some of the other ones taking place on Saturday and Sunday. Now, in addition to Sport Trade, we are also powered by Edge Boost. And I have talked a lot about, what Edge Boost is. Hopefully by now you've heard the commercials that we are running for that. Edge Boost is the only bank account out there that is designed specifically for your sports book, your daily fantasy site, and your casino transactions. You can earn up to 0.5% cash back on each deposit that you make from your Edge Boost bank account into a casino, a sports book, or a daily fantasy site. You will be provided with a Visa debit card for this account. It is FDIC insured. This was created in partnership with Visa. So it is completely legit. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today, and use promo code 1580 on Edge Boost to start at a higher tier so you can earn even more cash back than what you would if you don't use that promo code. So now that we got that stuff out of the way, let's get into how we did with the picks yesterday. We do provide daily picks from this show. You have to visit the Beat the Book website to see what those are. You can get there by searching in your browser Beat the Book Fanatic or Beat the Book Dylan Cohen. Or if you visit the 1580 The Fanatic website, just click the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. Or you can even follow me on Instagram. The tag is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. If you hit the link in the bio, that'll take you right to the Beat the Book website so you can see what the 10 bets are each day, in addition to the long shot parlay, which we are going to break down in segment 3 and go over why you're going to want to tail that one. But getting back to the top 2 picks from Beat the Book yesterday, we had some mixed results there. We're going to go through it. The number 1 pick, that was for our Arizona State University Sun Devils to win on the road against Colorado. They got the job done. Final score 70-68. A little bit of a close finish there. ASU was able to hang on. Luckily, we were there on the money line. Didn't need them on any kind of a spread. So, we had protection there. We'll take the close win. The other pick, and this is the one that we're going to get really into here because the Lakers are just a mess right now. They were a 4.5-point favorite playing on the second night of a back-to-back against the Philadelphia 76ers. And you look at who was available on this Sixers team, you'd understand why the Lakers were such a big favorite despite being that team that's playing on the second night of a back-to-back. The Sixers were missing Paul George, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, to name a few. There's a number of other players that were out in addition to those guys. LA absolutely should have had the upper edge in this one. And what happened? Well, at first, most of the first quarter was going well. It was going according to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then that guy that is the best player on the Los Angeles Lakers, no, I'm not talking LeBron James. I'm talking the other one, Anthony Davis, the guy that went off for 42 points and 23 rebounds last night that I was beating myself up for not getting all over that and taking him for 35 points and 40 points and 15 rebounds. Like, I'm such a bonehead. I should have known he was going to do that against the Hornets. So, of course, you'd think coming into this matchup, Sixers, shorthanded, missing their centers, going to have a lot of the same issues the Hornets are going to have.
I really believed in it.
I
really believed in it.
The common sense was there, but there's this problem with Anthony Davis that, we all got kind of caught up in this high of how well he's been playing lately, and he has been able to stay on the court a bit more than normal compared to, seasons past. But he has managed to earn a nickname that has stuck with him for a number of years. Charles Barkley bestowed it on him. He is street clothes Anthony Davis for a reason.
Yeah, Anthony Street Clothes Davis strikes again. I at the worst time.
It takes all the wind out of your sails. Any hope you have for if you were on Anthony Davis points, if you were on the Lakers money line.
I genuinely, I said, you know what? I don't want to screw this one up and make it like a leg of a parlay and the other leg fails, because that's how confident I was that one was going to hit. And he just gets hurt again. And who knows how long he's going to be out, because it's Anthony Davis.
Well, and the injury itself, he suffered a abdominal strain. The general prognosis up front is, he's going to miss up to a week. But that's just one of those soft tissue injuries that can linger, that you don't want to rush yourself back onto the court and then possibly strain it again or do something worse. And when it's happening to a guy like Anthony Davis that has the horrible track record that he has for soft tissue injuries, this is going to be handled very delicately. He is expected to miss a week. I would expect that to drag out a little bit longer. Could be a week and a half, could be 2 weeks. And you look at what this Lakers team looks like with no Anthony Davis there. And there's just a significant drop off in how that team is able to compete when you don't have, one of the premier big men in the NBA playing for you on the court. So, with that being said, once Anthony Davis went out, that's really where the Sixers just got a big spark. Tyrese Maxey ends up going for, I think it was like 43 points. He had a really huge game. The Sixers won 118-104. And, there was something else that was really kind of crazy about this game that stuck out to me. I was talking to you about it before we went on here, Keon. And it's something that you wouldn't really know about unless you were watching the live broadcast. In the first quarter of that game, LeBron James usually plays the first 6 to 8, maybe 9 minutes or so. And then that's his normal rotation. He goes down for most of the end of the first quarter. So when LeBron happened to get subbed out yesterday, this is before Davis got injured, JJ Redick put Bronny James in the game. And it was crazy because they already got the father-son moment out of the way very early on. Bronny's been pretty largely buried since then. The only times you're ever going to see him on the court are when it's garbage minutes, whether the Lakers are up 30 or they're down 30 and, the game's out of hand. That's typically when you're going to see Bronny James ever come and play into it in a game. So in this case, he got subbed in with about 3-4 minutes left in the first. It's a 7-point game. The Lakers are winning. AD's still there. And all of a sudden, this Philly crowd, like you could sense it in the TV broadcast. I mean, this has been going on for so long now that I think when the Lakers play on the road and, those fans come and attend those games, I don't think there's much of an expectation at this point that you're going to see the father-son connection, because the Lakers, like I said, they already checked that box off. They haven't been doing it. It's just not something that people are coming to these games expecting anymore. Well, Bronny gets subbed in the first quarter, and all of a sudden it was like time stopped. And you could just kind of sense this like anticipation, almost this energy in the crowd. And I could sense this from watching the broadcast, not even being in the building. However, I have been in an arena where those two share the court, and I am still speaking on firsthand experience of seeing this live. All of a sudden, the crowd, I mean, they weren't even in it for their team to win. It all of a sudden, once there was a possibility of, oh my God, we might get it. We might see LeBron and Bronny play. This huge distraction just starts to kind of rear its head. And we've spoken about this many times, going back months, going back to before the NBA season started. The first time that I saw this take place during the preseason, it happened in a game against the Suns that was in Palm Springs way back in October. Like, I saw this all firsthand. And it's kind of hard to gauge at how that's going to translate into a regular season game because it is a preseason game. It's not serious. There's no stakes. So, of course, they have a little bit more leeway to showcase the duo. But here we were last night. Bronny gets subbed in towards the end of the first. All of a sudden, oh my God, there's a possibility we might see it. And then the game became kind of secondary. And I'm not saying it became secondary to the Lakers, but you could just tell the overall viewing experience, it skewed away from wanting either team to potentially win. It turned into something else completely. So the Lakers are very much still dealing with that dynamic. Now, the thing that really needs to be called out here, and this is just overwhelmingly blatant, I think universally any NBA commentator, analyst, they're going to say the same thing about Bronny James. And, with all the respect to LeBron, this is someone's son that we're talking about, and you want to be respectful of that. But Bronny is not someone that is deserving of a role within the National Basketball Association.
It's so obvious. Like it's actually borderline insulting anytime he's on the floor to the other NBA players that are out there. Everybody knows everybody knows to attack him. Everybody knows to go after him. Teammates on the floor seem to know to avoid him. Like, you can't give him the ball because he doesn't know what to do with it. And it's insulting to fans. Like, it's insulting to us every time he's out there. He's not doing anything.
So, I mean, this whole this whole experiment, I mean, they're just kind of making a mockery out of the league. And then you sit there and you wonder why, the viewership numbers are down. And no, I'm not saying that's all 100% on Bronny James, but it's the little things like this where it's like, if you don't even take yourself seriously, why should the public also take you seriously? And to really kind of back this up a little bit more, Bronny James played 15 minutes in this game last night. That is wide and far the most minutes he's played in a single game so far in his career. Before that, the most minutes he ever played was 5 minutes in a game. So he got 3 times that yesterday. His final stat line, 0 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 0 of 5 field goal shooting. Now, again, there's probably some people out there that want to kind of cut him some slack, sure. But let me just kind of bring up the fact that there are guys that got drafted after Bronny. There's only 4 dudes that got drafted after Bronny, but guess what? there's at least one of them that is producing better than Bronny James. In addition to that, there are guys that did not get drafted at all that are producing more than Bronny James. And one of those guys started for the other team last night. His name is Justin Edwards. He played at Kentucky. He should have been the guy getting that same draft spot that Bronny James ended up getting.
And so when JJ Redick is like, yeah, I just needed somebody to bring some energy. Imagine if they had that guy.
Here's what Justin Edwards did last night. He played 29 minutes. He scored 7 points. He had 3 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 turnovers. He made 3 shots out of 7 taken, including 1 3-pointer. JJ Redick would be like on his just hands and knees right now, begging for an able body like that, compared to having to have Bronny James fly across the country, second night of a back-to-back. You're going to throw this kid in a national TV game and just expect him to perform, up to this level. That is what you should be able to expect out of someone that's drafted, in the second round. But you're not getting that out of Bronny. And this whole experiment for the better of the Lakers, it needs to stop. He needs to never appear again in the league. Will it actually happen? Of course not.
No, he'll play some other time this season and insult everybody's intelligence again. And this is the reason why the Lakers aren't going to be winning a championship again anytime soon. They are a deeply unserious organization. They're not interested in winning basketball games. Drafting Bronny is not the thing you do if you're interested in winning. It just isn't. He's not any good. And you can see it out there. And it's like you're looking at guys, like you said, drafted after him. They're producing better. Guys not even drafted at all. They're producing better. And I don't know how else to say this. And again, I'm talking about a guy who's a young guy. Bronny didn't draft himself. So I'm not going after Bronny. But you have got to be kidding me. That position, that draft position, someone could have had that day and had that moment. That was stolen from them by an unserious organization that has zero interest in actually winning basketball games.
And meanwhile, you've got LeBron and AD saying, we're just one piece away. We just need our team to make a trade and get us one more piece. But give Bronny his contract too. You cannot have your cake and eat it too.
And LeBron is just as culpable in all of this because you've reached a point where winning's not your priority. I'm not saying LeBron doesn't want to win. I'm not saying the desire isn't there. I'm saying on his list of things that are important to him, it ain't winning. He wanted that moment playing with his kid more than he wanted to win. And I hope it was worth it.
Well, and just to kind of, close out this conversation here about Bronny and the Lakers, they're still on a road trip right now. They've got 3 more games on this road trip. You can expect Anthony Davis to miss all 3 of these. They're at Washington, where you'd actually think they should still be able to win that game without Anthony Davis, but I would throw an asterisk on that one. Washington may have what it takes to actually get that W.
Which is insane.
But after that, you've got 3 national TV spots. You're at New York, then you're at LA Clippers, and then after that, you're home against the Golden State Warriors. So, this is a rough stretch. I'm imagining like a 1-3 record over those next 4 games for the Lakers. We could really start to see them take a bit of a descent here in the Western Conference standings, and that would go very well for our Phoenix Suns, who are in action tonight. They are taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. And, looking at who's going to be available for this game, Kevin Durant is actually listed as questionable. He is dealing with some kind of a thumb injury, but it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to keep him out, but there's no definitive word on that yet. Ryan Dunn, also questionable for the Suns. On the Timberwolves side, they are still without Dante DiVincenzo. Rob Dillingham is questionable to play, as well as Naz Reid. So, there's some contributors on that Minnesota side that if they do happen to miss out on this game, it's going to make things a lot easier for the Suns. Let's keep our fingers crossed that KD is going to be in there, because we know that this is a dramatically different team with no Kevin Durant on the floor.
And by different, you mean worse.
Worse. Yeah, no doubt about that. And then, you take a look at how this game is priced right now. And it's almost a pickup. It's just barely leaning towards the Suns right now. They're minus 112 on the money line. Taking a look at FanDuel, just a 1-point favorite on there. And you'll notice if you look at the Beat the Book picks today, there is absolutely nothing for this Suns game. And I will continue to be direct in that, the Suns are playing well right now. We said it yesterday, 8-2 over their last 10 games. Excellent momentum. They need to prove a little bit more for us to kind of get back on the train of, I'll go ahead and take Suns money line here. The way that things stand right now, with what we know about who may or may not be playing and how the Suns have been playing lately, it feels like the Suns are still on probation a little bit. I'm leaning towards I'm just going to kind of watch it and not have any action on it.
It's a wait and see. I just feel like the moment we buy in, that's the letdown spot for them. I don't know why that is necessarily, because sometimes it's against teams that you think they ought to beat the brakes off of these guys, and then they just lose to completely bad basketball teams.
Well, and I would say the one caveat to this that I am willing to endorse is if Kevin Durant does happen to get ruled out, look to take Devin Booker's points. His line right now is 24.5 leaning over. If Kevin Durant isn't there, I would imagine this is a 30-point game for Devin Booker. The one game that he already had in Minnesota this year, that was a huge scoring performance for him. So, it's already something he's done once, definitely capable of doing it again. Could he go off still with Kevin Durant on the floor? Absolutely. But that's where, when you got the two of them together, it's really tough having confidence almost in either one of them to have that big game, because it could be none of them, it could be both of them, or it could be either one.
So that's going to be that for the first segment here. We're going to take a look at the text line where Kendrick the Schmendrick is very active, mostly making fun of Bronny James. He said he's probably getting ready to go to the G League. So this is the farewell tour. It's Bronny farewell tour. Bye-bye, Bronny. Now, here's the thing. Bronny already plays in the G League. He already has that two-way contract. He plays some G League games as well. It's just anytime they call him up to play in the NBA, he stinks.
Well, and there's this other dynamic, because I've never seen a single player in the G League up until Bronny score 30 points in a game, and then all of a sudden you've got the media collusion that comes with it, and you've got ESPN blitzing on all of their social media accounts. Oh my God, Bronny James, 30-point game for the South Bay Lakers.
Yeah, Bronny G League highlights. When have you ever seen that? We've already mentioned the handful of guys drafted after Bronny and not drafted at all, producing in the NBA at a higher level. There are people who are scoring almost double what Bronny scores in G League games. We don't ever talk about them. It's just because it's Bronny, and it's the dumbest thing imaginable. And I can't wait till this whole thing is over. It's just genuinely ridiculous and insulting. Kendrick the Schmendrick also asked about the Sabonis rebounds. He said he liked them. What did you think about it? And I think that I'm going to hold on to that, because Dylan is going to break that down, I think, a little bit later on in the show. The short answer is we agree. We like the Sabonis rebounds tonight, but we'll get into the details of why and how that's going to work. So we're here, and we're going to get to the NFL props now, because some of these NFL props look really fun. And we're going to compare and contrast. Which props should you take a look at, and maybe which ones should you ignore? Which ones are preferable? We'll get to those. We'll do some anytime touchdown comparisons, rushing yard comparisons, and even kicker point overs right here on Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Make extra money daily from your sports betting? Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here. I'm always about finding ways to take sports betting to the next level, and that's exactly why I'm pumped to tell you about Edge Boost, the financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all of your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. That's free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're already doing. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it will never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. That's edgeboost.bet. Once again, edgeboost.bet.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends at the Lund Mortgage Team. Did you know that the Lund Mortgage Team was founded back in 1999? That's right. They're celebrating 25 years in existence this year. And you know what you have to do to stay in business that long? You have to be good at what you do. And the Lund Mortgage Team is not just good, they are great. They have helped thousands of people save thousands of dollars over those 25 years here in the Valley of the Sun. They only lend in Arizona. And they're mortgage brokers, which means they can shop your rate around. They're not tied to just one set of rates. Mortgage rates can get crazy. They can get high. They can get low. There's good times to strike and there's times to stay on the sideline. Let the Lund Mortgage Team be your coach, be your team leader when it comes to these huge decisions. Call 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940, or you can always check them out at lundmortgage.com. Great website with all the tools you need. Call them today. They're my great friends, and you'll love them. It's the Lund Mortgage Team.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt, vinegar.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The most important event in sports could happen at any time.
Like right now.
Or right now. Or even
Now.
don't miss history. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or at 1580thefanatic.com.
So the NFL, one game left. That is the Super Bowl, which we have, by the way, right here on 1580 The Fanatic. We are your Super Bowl station. We're the NFL station for everything that's got nothing to do with the Redbirds. And we've got some of the prop bets that are happening, and there's a little bit of fun I think we can have comparing different kinds of prop bets.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through a few different prop bets here. And I mean, there's no necessarily right or wrong answer. We're just going to kind of break down a couple of different props and maybe see if, one prop might be a little more worth betting on than the other. And, they're not going to be perfect comparisons. People's lines are different. People's prices are different, but those are actually the aspects that you have to factor into, being able to say, well, one thing might be better than the other. So for example, the way that we'll get this started off here, Keon, just taking a look at quarterback passing yards right now for the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, his over-under line on passing yards is 210.5. And then you've got Patrick Mahomes, who's is quite a bit higher. His is 251.5 over-under for passing yards. So if you're going to consider taking the overs on quarterback passing yards, which one is better? Is it Jalen Hurts at over 210.5 at minus 110? Or is it Patrick Mahomes at over 251.5 at minus 110? I know for me, when I take a look at this, I'm leaning more towards the Patrick Mahomes 251.5. And the biggest reason why for me is just that, the Chiefs so far in the postseason, they only get the pleasure of playing outdoors in frigid, freezing, cold weather at Arrowhead Field. And now they are going to be in a dome in New Orleans. And I think that for the passing game, the Chiefs are going to get a bit of a boost. And likewise, I mean, the Eagles are also going to enjoy the same kind of benefit here of going from strictly playing outdoors in the playoffs to, now getting the elements completely out of it, the temperature completely out of it, and just seeing, what these offenses look like, in a indoor environment. And then, I mean, you take a look at what Patrick Mahomes has done passing yards so far in the playoffs. And to that point, he had 177 yards against the Texans outdoors, freezing game. Then he had 245 yards against Buffalo outdoors, freezing game. So that difference in him being able to go over where that line is drawn, I think he gets it just purely by playing in a domed arena. Now, you also have to consider the defense that he's playing against, and this Eagles defense is absolutely no joke. I would also argue that the Chiefs receiving core really doesn't get enough credit for how talented they are. And there's like so many guys that on any given night, any given game, they could lead that team in receiving. So there's always going to be like a handful of their receivers or tight ends that aren't really producing to their potential because there's only one ball, there's only one quarterback, there's only a certain amount of plays. You can only have so many people have big games. But like, you mean to tell me coming into this game, DeAndre Hopkins isn't capable of having 100+ yards? Like, he's D-Hop.
He absolutely is. I think that the Chiefs kind of remind me of the Packers, where D-Hop at this stage in his career isn't going to give you that every game. And Xavier Worthy, where he's at in his career as a rookie, he's not going to give you that every night. But I think kind of in the aggregate, you can kind of do it. The Packers have a bunch of number 2 guys, but they don't have a true number 1. But any of those 2s can just go crazy on any day. Like, that's what the Chiefs are kind of like.
Now, and I just want to say for the record, I do like the over on Jalen Hurts' passing yards. And I mean, you look at the way that him and AJ Brown are just connecting right now, and it feels automatic. It feels like anytime they want to go and get just any yardage, he can just, Jalen can just toss it to AJ Brown. And as long as that pass is, remotely in a place where he can catch it, like, he's going to go out and get that catch. So this is where I say, it's not necessarily that there's a wrong answer. Both of these guys could totally go over, but if they're both going to be priced the same and Patrick Mahomes just needs to get to over 250, that's where I'm leaning more towards the Patrick Mahomes side of it. Keon, which way do you lean on that?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning that way as well. When you're
I mean, it's tough because like Jalen lately, he just has not been getting those overs on the passing yards. But how much of that is due to, the elements, and how much could that change going indoors?
A lot of that is the elements. A lot of that, too, is just taking what the defense gives you on a day where, the defense doesn't want to lose to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. They will allow Jalen to run the football because that seems to be you can contain that a little bit. It's a little less explosive than, a 50-yard bomb to A.J. Brown where he's just ripping the top off of your defense. So I think that there is a world where Jalen's rushing yards cannibalize his passing yards, and that's why I'm leaning towards Mahomes.
Now, this isn't a perfect comparison by any means because we're looking back to a Super Bowl that happened 2 years ago. Different personnel, different rosters, different location for where the Super Bowl was played. But if you take a look at the Chiefs and Eagles past Super Bowl, which took place a couple years ago, Patrick Mahomes actually goes under this mark by quite a bit. He had 182 passing yards. Jalen Hurts ends up going pretty far over. He had 304 passing yards. So seeing that almost kind of makes me pause on this a little bit. But if we're at least working with the trend of how these teams have played recently, and this is what we were talking about earlier this week, like the offenses just seem to be like peaking right now, like all around, all teams. And that's how we're getting these constant overs to hit, for each of the playoff games, it seems like that have happened so far. So perhaps there's, some more recency that you should consider as opposed to just pointing at the fact that, well, the last time they played in the Super Bowl, Jalen went off for 304 passing yards. So clearly he's going to do it again.
Right.
Now, it does prove that he's capable of it. He's done it before. So perhaps, and again, just going back to kind of the gist of this exercise, I think they're both actually good bets to make. I would still lean a little bit more towards the Patrick Mahomes side, but Jalen Hurts, I mean, look, he's done it before. He could totally do it again. Let's move on to the next one here, because this one I think is interesting to kind of compare. So looking at the anytime touchdown market and just kind of picking one guy from either side, but I wanted to stay away from Saquon Barkley because we've already kind of spoken our thoughts on Saquon Barkley. We absolutely love him to get multiple touchdowns in this game. But if you were to take a look at playing, say, Kareem Hunt on the Chiefs for an anytime touchdown, and on FanDuel, he's priced at plus 130, so you're getting over even money payout, or Jalen Hurts for an anytime touchdown. This one's paying out a bit less. It's priced at minus 115. So you're getting a little bit less than even money on the return. Which one of these is better? And I know for me, I'm probably leaning more towards that Chiefs side again. And the biggest reason why is really kind of almost more the price and just the value of getting that plus 130 line. Kareem Hunt is not someone that is like guaranteed to get a touchdown in the way that Saquon or even honestly Jalen Hurts kind of is, because you just know with the Eagles, if there's a certain scenario that comes out and they're right up there at that goal line.
And they find themselves there a lot. And like, it's the tush push, right? And the thing with the tush push is most teams aren't running that unless they're on the goal line. The Eagles don't have to be on the goal line. The tush push genuinely. And it's the frustrating thing about it that, like, if you're a fan and your team is playing the Eagles, and I am very recently, watching my team be a victim of this, they can run that thing from 2.5 yards out and it works every time. I almost don't understand it, but it works. Like they can do the tush push from 2.5 yards out, which means like once they're inside the 5, it's pretty much gonna happen. They run to set it up, and then once they get in range, that's Jalen, and it's he's almost just being crammed into the end zone. It's not even a rush really, but it counts as one, and it seems like it's one of the most reliable things.
Oh, it's got to be.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Frankie Louvu and then the lengths he's going to try and
disrupt this thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a reason we talk about the NFL banning this thing every year. it's because it's kind of overpowered.
Now, if you want to look at the more recent play of these guys and kind of take that into consideration on this, Kareem Hunt has had a rushing touchdown in his last 4 games, and that's going back to the regular season, not just the playoffs. But so far, against Buffalo, against Houston in the playoffs, he's had a rushing touchdown in each game. You take a look at Jalen Hurts, and it's a little bit different because he just popped off for 3 rushing touchdowns against the Commanders. So, if you want to be technical about this, right now in the playoffs, he has 4 rushing touchdowns, which is a lot. But, there have been a couple of games recently, going back to the wild card round against the Packers, he didn't have a rushing touchdown. And then the last regular season game that he did appear in, which was that loss to the Commanders, he did not actually have a rushing touchdown in that one. So it is possible for the Eagles to not have a tush push situation come up.
Though the last loss against the Commanders kind of scratched that one because that's the concussion game for him. He gets hurt early.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So he's just not even in the game. But yeah, he's got that potential where it could happen where it doesn't play out that way. But my guess would be,
I mean, they both feel like really good ones to count on.
And Kareem Hunt has become the goal line guy in Kansas City. I don't know how or why, but in short yardage situations, they really trust him.
Well, and they have this luxury because you've got Isaiah Pacheco back. They can leverage Kareem Hunt in those situations where this guy is going to take some hits on this run. There's going to be some really hard contact here. I don't want any of my players to get injured, but like if it's going to come down to Hunt or Pacheco, Hunt to an extent, I kind of hate phrasing it this way, but he sort of becomes the sacrificial lamb of like, put your head down and go get that touchdown and do whatever it takes to get there and take whatever contact you've got to take.
And he's glad to do it because Kareem Hunt was not on anybody's roster. That's the reason why he's a Chief right now, is because Isaiah Pacheco goes down and Kareem Hunt is like, oh, thank goodness somebody wanted to pay me to play football. And he does it. They put him on the goal line and say, yeah, if it kills you, well, we're so sorry. But we need these points. And he's found a niche on this team being that guy.
So just being able to put everything into perspective, I'm sure Kareem Hunt he does not take these opportunities for granted in the way that some of his peers may be. So, those are good things to contextualize when you're looking at which player props you want to get on here. Let's stick with the running backs. Let's talk about running back rushing yards and potential overs here, because this is kind of an interesting one to compare. If you're looking at the starting running backs for each team, you've got Saquon Barkley. His line on rushing yards right now, 112.5. And obviously for like any other running back, that line's probably going to be a bit lower, but Saquon is just playing on another level right now. So the 112.5, it's justified. Kareem Hunt, 45.5 over under for his rushing yards. So when you're looking at the overs on both of these, they're both priced the exact same, minus 110. Which one is better? Is it to back Kareem Hunt to get only 46 yards or more? Or is it going to be to back Saquon Barkley to get 113 yards or more? And honestly, I kind of struggle on this one because naturally you almost want to lean towards the guy that needs to get significantly less yards, but there's just no guarantee that he's going to be able to find the gaps to be able to get that much yardage. I mean, the scenarios that I feel like he's being leveraged in the most are the ones that we just talked about before, where you're in the red zone, you have less than 20 yards in front of you to work with, and you got to go out there and just try and get us a touchdown. Like maybe there's a couple of those comes up and he gets, 5 yards here, 5 yards there, 8 yards here.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like if that's how, I think that would be how it would happen, because this Eagles defense against the run, they don't let you do that. Is the nice way of saying that. You are going to have to beat them through the air to really beat them, and the windows are going to be tight because they've got very good corners and they've built a fantastic defense over there that really gives them a lot of opportunities. And it starts with stopping the run so that you're on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, and now you can't really convert as easily as you want to. That's what they've built this team to do. So guess what that does to Kareem Hunt? It kind of turns him into the short yardage guy and nothing else.
Meanwhile, you take a look at Saquon Barkley, and we don't need to beat a dead horse with like how unbelievable this dude is. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns in his last 2 playoff games. I'm just looking for the last time he did not go over 112.5. That was back on December 15th against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He rushed for only 65 rushing yards in that game. Every game since then that he's played in, and keep in mind, he also missed that final week of the season, 150 yards versus the Commanders, 167 yards versus the Cowboys, 119 yards versus the Packers in the wild card round, 205 yards rushing against the Rams, and then 118 rushing yards against the Commanders in the NFC Championship. I mean, the line feels low. I mean, if you're looking at what he's actually done recently, I'm wondering why this line isn't like 115.5 or like 116.5. You'd think that they would position it closer to, where that lowest running output was, which actually happened to be the last game against the Commanders. But I also don't believe he played a whole lot like in the 4th quarter of that game, or maybe even much in the 3rd, because they were up so much. So that's kind of where I think I'm actually leaning more towards Saquon Barkley.
I absolutely am. I just think that that's a number that needs to be hit if Philadelphia even wants to win the game. Jalen is a good passer. He's not a great passer. So he's going to have, a good day throwing the football, but a lot of what they're going to do offensively is going to start with Saquon Barkley and what he can do on the ground. And we've seen what he can do in the open field. It doesn't even matter if there's 2 or 3 guys there in front of him. He makes them all miss. He gets extra yards after contact. He's just playing on another planet right now. Yeah, I trust Saquon to go out there and get not just the tough yards, but the big play, explosive yards that the Eagles need, I think, if they're going to beat the Chiefs.
So I honestly, they are both decent prop bets, but I definitely am leaning more towards the Saquon Barkley there, and obviously Keon is as well. So real quickly here with the kickers, this is an interesting one because right now the line on total kicking points for each of the kickers, it's pretty similar. Jake Elliott's is at 6.5 over under. Harrison Butker is at 7.5 over under. Each of them, the way that the odds are priced, they're leaning towards the overs. Jake Elliott is priced at minus 128 to go over 6.5. Harrison Butker priced at minus 118 to go over 7.5 total kicking points. And I'm just looking back actually at the previous Super Bowl matchup because I just want to get a better sense of like how many field goals are actually being kicked here. That's the only thing that I'm a little skeptical on. Going back to that last Super Bowl matchup, Harrison Butker actually had 8 kicking points, and then Jake Elliott had 9. So going off the last time that these two teams played each other, they both easily hit their overs. I think I'm going to naturally lean just more towards Jake Elliott here just because his line is a little bit lower. I mean, do you see any reason why Harrison Butker maybe gets significantly more kicking points than Jake Elliott?
I think
like this one is like, it's weird to forecast because I mean, this could be the kind of game where like both teams deeply struggle to score touchdowns, and then all of a sudden it's like a field goal kicking contest. Or there could be a lot of touchdowns, and these guys are also getting a lot of extra points with it.
Yeah,
so
that's a tough one, and they're both really good kickers, and these are both teams that get into the red zone a lot and finish drives in the end zone. So, like, whoever struggles the most early is going to obviously be the one that relies on their kicker the most. I don't know how to predict who that would be. Genuinely, this feels like a push to me. Like I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to begin to figure out who would have the most opportunities.
I would say, while both of their lines are under 8.5, this is a good time to get on their overs. And by the time this game actually kicks off, Butker's line could be 8.5 and Elliott's could be 7.5. And then at that point, I would probably not play it at all.
So yeah, I think that's boy. That's probably the toughest one, and who would have thought the kickers? So we've got the text line going. We're going to go ahead and clear that up on the other side. But when we come back, we're going to do the long shot parlay of the day, give Dylan some time to break that down, and then we're going to clear up the text line because, boy, you guys really like the Super Bowl talk. You're listening to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40, and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Hi, guys. Jeffrey O'Brien here. Have you ever gone to HarmonSolar.com? Well, you really need to, because everything you ever wanted to know about how solar power can save you big on your monthly electric bill is right there. It's online. Through your phone or through your computer, you can learn about tax credits, the equipment they use, look at how they do things for businesses as well as homeowners, see testimonials from happy customers, and I hear they got a pretty good podcast too. Check it out. Go to HarmonSolar.com. That's HarmonSolar.com.
Did you know that vitamins are your partners in health, not just inside, but outside too? These nutrients are key to our daily well-being. And for anyone who can get pregnant, folic acid is a must for preventing birth defects, helping you have a healthier pregnancy. The Arizona Department of Health Services is offering 3 months of free daily vitamins with folic acid. Power your health inside and out. Get your free vitamins at azdhs.gov/PowerMe-A2C.
Sponsored by the Arizona Department of Health Services.
Download the Fanatic app.
News, scores, social media updates, and more on your smartphone, on your tablet. The free Fanatic app, available at the Google Play Store or the App Store, and at 1580thefanatic.com.
Long shot parlay of the day, Dylan. And where do we start?
So, long shot parlay for today. This one is 4 legs. It pays out a little bit over 100-1 odds. I put this together on Fanatic Sportsbook earlier this morning. You may want to try and shop it with FanDuel. They tend to have better odds. It's just FanDuel's props weren't fully out this morning, so I couldn't do some of the actual amounts that I ended up settling on for this parlay. So the way that this parlay reads, it's Jakob Pertl, who is the starting center for the Toronto Raptors. We're counting on him to get 18 or more points against the Wizards tonight. We need Jason Tatum on the Celtics to score 32 or more points against the Bulls. We're counting on Domantas Sabonis to get 19 or more rebounds against the Sixers. And then we also need Victor Wembanyama to get 5 or more blocks against the Clippers. So I'm going to break this down, starting with Jakob Pertl for 18 or more points. This one might end up being the most difficult leg, but I promise you it's worth it. The Raptors are taking on the Washington Wizards tonight. We talk about it all the time on this show. The Wizards have the worst defense in the NBA. It just actually recently broke that Alex Sarr will be missing this game. He ended up leaving their last game due to an ankle injury. It's holding him out tonight. So this is a weakened Wizards front court that already struggles to contain opposing big men. In 4 out of the Wizards' last 5 games, the opposing team's starting center has gone well over their line on points. Jakob Pertl's line on points tonight is 14.5. He is in an excellent spot to go over that line, and we're just going to need him to get only 3 more extra points than that to get to 18. That's a great bet. Jason Tatum for 32 or more points. This one I expect to be the easiest leg of the parlay. The Celtics are taking on the Bulls tonight. The Bulls have the 2nd worst defense in the NBA. Jason Tatum has played the Bulls 3 times already this season. He's managed to score 30 or more points in each game while averaging over 36 points per game in those matchups. In addition to Tatum's track record of high-scoring games against the Bulls, the Celtics also happen to be coming off of their worst home loss of the season, where the Houston Rockets won on a buzzer beater at the end of the game. So this is a get-right game for Boston. Look for Tatum to be leading the charge on offense against, again, the 2nd worst defense in the league. Domantas Sabonis, 19 or more rebounds tonight. If you didn't happen to know, Domantas Sabonis is the leader in the NBA in rebounds. He averages just under 15 rebounds per game. He's grabbed 18 or more rebounds 4 times in his last 5 games. He's grabbed 19 or more rebounds twice in his last 3 games. He's taking on the Sixers tonight, who are now on their 2nd night of a back-to-back. The Sixers are also dealing with a number of injuries. We spoke about it earlier in the show. They're going to be without their starting center and their backup center. So look for Domantas Sabonis to dominate the glass against, quite frankly, whoever the Sixers come up with to play the 5 tonight. And if you need some more encouragement on this, just look back to the last game that the Kings played against the Sixers back on New Year's Day. Domantas Sabonis managed to grab 21 rebounds in that matchup. You can count on him to get a similar number tonight. Final leg here, Victor Wembanyama for 5 or more blocks. Keep in mind, the Spurs have not played since their Saturday game in France against the Pacers. They're going to be coming into this matchup pretty fresh. Wemby is the league leader in blocks currently. He averages 4 per game. He's managed to get 5 or more blocks in 3 out of his last 5 games. He's going to be facing the Clippers at home tonight, and he currently averages 6 blocks per game against the Clippers so far this season in the 2 previous matchups that they've played. So look for Wemby to be active on defense against a team that is ahead of the Spurs in the Western Conference standings. Just a little extra incentive there for the Spurs to, try and go all out to get a win. And for the other bets to consider, as well as those top 2 picks from Beat the Book, you will need to visit the Beat the Book website to check those out. The top 2 picks for today are within college basketball. And then the other bets to consider are going to be an assortment of different player props to count on. So don't forget to take a look at those. You can mix and match those other bets to consider, those top 2 picks. If you want to do 2-leg parlays, 3-leg parlays, those are generally going to be the best way to mitigate your risk and try and maximize your profit. Keon, that's all I got.
That'll do it for us. One last look at the text line, which is very, very full. Number 1 Rattlers fan says, "Hello, Dylan and Keon. Did you know the NFL used to abolish pushing players, but reversed it for 5 years ago? This is really weird. I think everything trends to the offense, so the NFL caters to TV because they love high-scoring games." Bingo, number 1 Rattlers fan. T-Licious says Super Bowl parlay. Pints consumed, video games played, shots consumed, commercials watched. dinner at Mountain Mike's, and he's got a series of lines on that.
That's a sure thing.
Jazz says, you know, you can get AD hurt in the first quarter for minus 4,000 on FanDuel to happen again this season. And he goes red Gatorade over an Anthem and no return on the kickoff. And Kendrick 2020 on Sabonis.
I'm